Hi, this is Lesley Price with Nebraska Dog Trainers, and in this video I'm going to show you the training collar that we use for our dogs. It is an e-collar technologies brand. We use the Mini Educator, and I'm just going to get it out right now and show you what we have. We have the transmitter, which is the handheld unit. We have the collar itself. This unit is rechargeable, so all you have to do with it, plug it into an outlet. There's a flap here that we open, plug it in. On the transmitter, there's another flap that we lift. Plug it in. When you do plug this in, what will happen is right here, it'll show a solid red light. It's not showing it right now because I don't have it plugged in. If it is blinking red, it means you don't have it plugged in properly and it won't charge. Same thing with the collar. When you plug it in, it'll be a solid red light that shows right there. When it's fully charged, it will show a solid green light. So then you can unplug it. How long will the charge last? Well, that's a good question. It depends on how much you use the collar. Generally for us, when we're using the collar quite a bit during the training period, when we have our 2-week board and train dogs, they'll last 2 to 3 days, so we usually plug them in, if not every night, at least every other night. I tell people to just plug them in at night like you do your cell phone, because it takes 2-3 hours to fully charge it, and when you wake up in the morning, they're ready to go. What else do we need to know about this? What else comes with it? You've got a lanyard that you can use also. Helps. You can keep it around your neck if you want to. Comes with more contact points. Right now it has the short contact points on there. It comes with longer contact points, and it'll be for longer haired dogs. And it does come with a couple more tools. One of the tools helps you tighten or loosen the contact points if you need to change those out. This is a little indicator light that you can put on there, and it'll show if it's fully charged. I don't ever really use that though. So that's everything that comes with the collar. First of all, you need to know how to turn the collar off and on. So how do we turn on the handheld unit, the transmitter? On the back of it, there's an on-off, it says on-off and light, and then there's a button that has an L on it. You hold that for 3 to 5 seconds, and it comes on. When it comes on, it's blinking green. I don't know if you can see that, but right there, it's blinking green every once in a while. When it's blinking green, it means it's pretty much fully charged. When it gets down below 50%, it will charge, or it'll be kind of an amber color. When it gets below 20%, it'll start flashing red, and that means you need to charge it up the next time you take your collar off your dog. So remember that next time. Remember that when you see that. How do we turn on the collar? Well, on the collar, there is a red dot right here, and there's also a red dot on the handheld right here. And what you do is you touch the two, and they have magnets, and what will happen is it will turn the collar on. So I'm going to touch the 2 red dots together, and you will see a green light that comes on, and it starts flashing green. Same thing as a handheld. It's pretty much fully charged when it's blinking green. If it's under 50%, it'll blink amber. When it's under 20%, it blinks red. One thing that my clients ask me all the time is, does the handheld have to be on in order to turn the collar on? No, it doesn't. As long as you touch the 2 red dots together, they're magnets, it'll turn the collar off and on. Now to turn the collar off, you touch the red dots again and it will show a red light and then it just turns off. So I'll do that right now. So I put those 2 together, shows the red light, it's off. Same thing with the handheld to turn it off. Back on the back again, there is the L button that also stands for light. I will explain that in a minute. You hold it 3 to 5 seconds, turns the unit off. And that's how that works. So I'm going to turn them back on again. I'm going to press the L button, the on and off button, 3 to 5 seconds. Comes on. I'm going to find the red dot on the handheld, put them together, green light comes on, now they're on. Now I had talked about the L light, or the L button, and that also stands for light. And this collar has a great feature. What happens is when you push the L button and you don't hold it very long, you just push it in and release it immediately, is a light comes on and it blinks. Then if you push the L button again, it's a solid light. And then when you push it again, it turns it off. So that's a dual functioning button. It turns the unit off and on, the handheld, and it also controls the light on the collar. It's a really cool thing. Let me explain a couple more things about the collar. This is the mini educator, as I said before. This is what we use on 80% of our dogs. This will go as far as a half a mile. So just because you lose track of your dog and you can't see your dog doesn't mean you can't communicate with your dog. So if you're out hiking, you kind of lose sight of them, you can always recall them and call them back to you even though you can't see them, as long as they're not out of that half-mile range. So that's a great thing about this collar. It's also totally waterproof. Love that about this. Your dogs can go swimming in it. My dogs swim in theirs many times a week. We've never had any trouble whatsoever. They can be caught out in the rain, whatever. One thing that does keep them waterproof though is make sure that the flaps are closed where you plug in to charge the units, because if they aren't, there's a possibility on the, you can see on the collar. Make sure you get that nice and snug. The handheld floats in water. So if you're at a lake, pond, something like that, swimming pool, and you drop the handheld unit, it will float, so you won't lose it. Where do we put the collar on the dog? The collar can go anywhere around the dog's neck, but we prefer that it be up as high as we can get it, either under this ear or under this ear. The reason we like the e-collar up high on the neck, close to the ear, is because it stimulates the muscle. It does not shock the dog like you might read on the internet whatsoever. It's a muscle stimulator. It actually is very similar to a TENS unit that you might have had placed on you at the chiropractor's office, physical therapy, something like that. So we've got really good muscle structure in the neck along underneath the ear. And if we place that up high, that muscle goes up into the jaw, and it's usually more sensitive here than it is any place else on the neck. So that's why we like to place it there. So make sure that you have it up nice and high and as close to the ear as you can get it. How long can the dog wear the collar? We are very, very cautious about how long the dog wears the collar, because if a collar was left on a dog for long periods of time, which I mean days, they could get hot spots on the neck. and we want to prevent that. So we ask you, if you're going to have the collar on your dog for 3 to 4 hours, switch it from one side to the next side. So when I have a dog in the board and train program and they're pretty much going to wear the collar all day, what I'll do is when I get up in the morning, I'll put it on this side. At lunchtime, I put it over on this side. At dinner time, it goes back here, and then it goes off at night when they are in their kennel resting. So that's how we like, that's how long we like for you to have the collar on the dog. You can have it on longer than that, but we just want to be extra careful so the dog won't get pressure sores or hot spots on their neck. Another thing I love about e-collar technologies, collars, is they have 100 levels of stimulation. So when I turn the collar on, I hope you can see this. I don't know if you can or not. But when you turn it on, you can see there's the number 0. That means the stimulation level is at 0. We have a dial on it. If we dial that up, it goes all the way to 100. Now, granted, most of the time we're using very low levels, but if we need have high levels of stimulation for the collar, we have it. If you go out to a big box store or a pet store and you buy a cheap e-collar, one thing, most of them do not have 100 levels of stimulation. A lot of them just have like 6 levels, 5 or 6 levels, and what happens is level 1 is 0, which your dog feels nothing. Then it jumps up to a 20, then a 40, then a 60, then an 80. And most dogs that we work with every day, on just an everyday level, is below probably a 12. So if you have a cheap unit and if your unit goes from 0 to 20, 20 is way too high for the dog and it kind of freaks the dog out. So that's one great thing about e-collar technologies, is we love that we have 100 levels to work with, so we can customize that exactly to what your dog needs and what working level your dog is at. Great thing about this brand. Okay, so let's just keep working along here. When you turn the collar on, I don't know if you can see it or not, but it flashes 1D. That stands for one dog. This is a one dog unit. They do have multiple dog collars, up to four dog collars. This one's just a one dog. That's what we use for most of our clients. You see the stimulation level, which is at 0, which I can turn that up with the dial if I want to. Then you also see a C. Okay, so continuous mode is the mode that we like to use, and it is exactly what it says. It's continuous. So when you're when you're pushing the stimulation button, if you just punch it and release, it sends the stimulation for only 1/10 of a second. So all it's doing is saying, hello, hello, listen, pay attention. But you can also push the stimulation button and hold it in, and it continues to send stimulation for up to 10 seconds, and then it automatically shuts off. So sometimes we will use the continuous mode where we hold the button and hold it in if we've got a dog that's not cooperating with us. But that's what we use. That's the reason we like to use the continuous mode. You've got 2 buttons here. There's a black button, a red button. They both have S on them. That stands for stimulation. Most of the time, what we do is we push the black button to send stimulation to the collar. So if you'll notice here, I'm going to push the black button. If you look at the collar, well, got to turn it up a little bit. If you look at the collar, it flashes red every time I send stimulation to the collar. So you'll notice that sometimes when it's on your dog's neck. Every time I'm pushing the black button or pushing the red button, it sends stimulation to the collar. You know it's being sent. The difference between the black and red button is right now I have the black button on a stimulation level of 7. Sometimes you're working your dog and let's say your dog's working level is at a 7. Sometimes you'll punch the button, the dog doesn't pay any attention to you. You need to go a little bit higher. The collar's automatically programmed where the stimulation level will go up by 5 digits if you hit the red button. So right now it's on black. When I push it's on 7. If I go to red, that takes it to a 12. And so that saves you time in actually dialing up the dial. And that's what we use the red button for. So it's very handy when you're training and your dog's not listening to you. You can go a little bit higher most of the time, then the dog starts to pay attention again. So that's a great feature on this collar. When you turn the collar on, if it doesn't have a C for continuous mode, it might have a M and C like it does right now, or just an M. You need to get that changed back to C mode, which is continuous. And how you do that is on the back of the collar, there's a button that says M/C, and you just continue to push that button until you have it on C only. So that's how that works. On the other side is a T button. It stands for test, and this is the vibrate button. So if you hit that, as you can see, the collar's vibrating. Now, we do not use the vibrate button when we're training our dogs or when we're communicating with our dogs. One of the reasons we don't use the vibrate button is you can tell as I push it, it's pretty intense. Sometimes that's intense enough that it scares the dog. So we only use stimulation because the stimulation we can have a lot lower than the vibration on the collar. But I do use vibration. It's not for communicating with the dog, but what I do is in the morning when I turn my handheld on, I turn my collar on. Before I put my collar on my dog, I'm always thinking, is this collar really working? Is it paired? Do I have the right handheld with the right collar? So what I will do is I'll push the vibrate button. I know the collar and the handheld's paired and we're ready to go. So these are the functions that we use on the collar. There are many more. And when you get your collar, there is a handbook that comes with it that you can read through. It'll tell you everything you need to know about the collar. Another great thing I love about this collar, I forgot to mention earlier, is it has a full 2-year warranty on it. So if anything goes wrong with this collar, all you have to do is call E-Collar Technologies, and they're really good about replacing whatever's broken. You call them, you tell them what's wrong. Let's say something was wrong with the handheld. They mail you a new handheld. They ask you to put your old one in the original box. They have a label for you. You stick it on there, take it down to the post office. Postage is already paid. Send it back to them and it's done. So we've had really good luck with E-Collar Technologies. They've been a great company for us. And I think that's pretty much about it.